look, you know you wanted someone to ask about Jordan Mason. Raise your hand if you wanted someone to ask about Jordan Mason. I don't understand why no one ever asks about him. He's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. He hasn't had a carry in 3 games. So I asked. I went up to Kyle and I said, this was in the press conference today. I couldn't help myself. Hold on. Let me get it. I said, Jordan Mason hasn't had any carries in 3 weeks. He's averaging 5.6 yards per carry. What does he need to do to get back in the mix and earn your trust? And he goes, why would that be an issue? You know, Kyle's trying to buy time and upset when he answers a question with a question. I don't know. I say, I don't know. I guess it's confusing for a running back who's been so efficient to fall out of the mix. I was wondering what he would need to do to get back in. Kyle says 2 guys in front of him would have to get hurt to get more there. There's 3 of them. You're implying that I don't trust him or something. That's what I heard in the question. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what your question is. So I said, why would you give Elijah Mitchell the carries over Mason when Mitchell's averaging 2.4 yards per carry? Kyle said, we look at more than stats. Mitchell's our number 2 back. He's done some pretty good things here. And JP's R3. He's been R2 at times, but it's how most cases are in the NFL. So, all right. He said they look at more than stats. I got an answer out of him. Why is Elijah Mitchell playing over Jordan Mason? Oh, because stats don't matter. Yards per carry, that's overrated. So Mitchell at 5.6 yards per carry and Mason at 5.6 yards per carry and Mitchell at 2.4 doesn't matter. Mitchell's better, even though Mason doubles his output every time he carries the ball. Doesn't matter because there are other things that matter for a running back other than yards per carry. And when pressed, Kyle said Mitchell's done some pretty good things. What did he say in the past? What did he say? He's done some pretty good things here. He has done some pretty good. That's true. So Mitchell is the number 2 back because he has done some pretty good things for the 49ers. That's true. He hasn't done any good things for him this year, while Mason has. But hey, Mitchell used to be really good. And so that's why he's above Mason in the pecking order, even though Mason is really good. The fact that Mitchell used to be really good trumps the fact that Mason currently is really good. And that's why essentially Kyle tried to answer my question and say Mason isn't getting carries because Mitchell's the number 2 back. The question is why? Oh, because Mitchell used to be good. So nostalgia. It's like, why did you buy the new Nas record? Because he used to be good. Okay. How long ago? What did you think this record was going to sound like? You didn't think it was going to sound like 50-year-old Nas, but because it is. I'm just saying, like, Elijah Mitchell is like 50-year-old Nas at this point. You know? Voice kind of creaky. It's just not the same. So, Kyle, I know that you're still listening to the same Lil Wayne mixtape from 2007, but you got to like get with the times and notice that Jordan Mason is your number 2 running back. There's no reason to have Elijah Mitchell as your number 2 running back. Also, you don't even really use your number 2 running back anyway. Last year, what you would do is you'd get an early lead with Christian McCaffrey and then hammer the lead home with Jordan Mason or Elijah Mitchell, one of the 2, as a closer. You don't do that anymore. Why? Does Christian McCaffrey not allow you to? Is it not? Did he put the kibosh on that? Say, hey, Kyle, I want the carries. I don't know. That's my question. Anyway, I thought Kyle, at least he gave an answer. The answer is Mitchell has done some good things for the Niners. So he got grandfathered into the number 2 running back spot this year because he was good in the past. Hey, man, why don't we bring back Richard Sherman? He's done some good things for the Niners. So was, Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott did some great things for the Niners. How about bring him back? All the players who have done some good things for the Niners should start for him, regardless of what they've done in 2023. I think he got snarky with me because he knew I had him. There's no good reason to play Elijah Mitchell over Jordan Mason. There's no way I could have phrased that question. Obviously, it's a question to trust. You play Elijah Mitchell over Jordan Mason because you trust Elijah Mitchell. Straight up. You trust Elijah Mitchell to not fumble the ball while he's getting those 2.5 yards on the ground. Fair. Just say it. You don't trust Jordan Mason because he fumbled a few times in training camp and in the preseason. And Elijah Mitchell has literally never fumbled in college or the pros. Just say it. It's a reason. And I do think it's about trust. Otherwise, okay, so maybe Jordan Mason doesn't know the offense as well as Elijah Mitchell, or maybe when he doesn't have the ball, he's not as good as. What does Elijah Mitchell do when he doesn't have the ball? Does he ever catch a pass? Seems to me if you have a running back averaging 5.6 yards per carry, 5.9 for his career, man, even though everyone knows he's getting the ball, he's still averaging like almost 6 yards a carry. So good things happen when you hand him the ball. Maybe you give it to him 5-10 times a game. Good things happen. What's the problem? How are we overthinking this one here? Good things don't happen when you give Elijah Mitchell the ball. All you can say is, oh, wow, he didn't fumble again. Great. Anyway, I thought it was a good question. And when Kyle gets a little flabbergasted like that, I would call that flabbergast. That's what flabbergast looks like, sounds like. It's probably because he didn't see the question coming, which to me is probably a failure on us, the beat writers. Like 3 weeks in a row, Jordan Mason doesn't get a touch and no one asks. And then Kyle asked like it was an inappropriate question. I thought it was an appropriate question. Quite appropriate. Rodriguez, he knows what I'm talking about. New member. Mad Gamer says, Grant, thank you for asking that question. The fan base deserves to know why JP hasn't been used. Keep asking the tough questions. I will. And I think Kyle feels like, if I give him that kind of awkward response, Grant won't ask questions like that. But I think it's a good response. I mean, it's like dramatic and it gives you a peek into Kyle Shanahan's emotions and psyche more than a professional dry answer would that you get from John Lynch. Ivan Tina says, you asked a fair question. He acted like a petulant child. He said Mason has done good things here. Okay, but he ain't doing them now. You mean Mitchell. I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so nostalgia is the reason? Drewish guy says, great question. Loved it. Were you more scared of Kyle's stare or when Kinlaw knocked your head off? Man, I get that stare from Kyle every day. So Kinlaw. Austin says Mason is going to be so good on a different team. I feel like a lot of teams could use him, would love to have him.